When Sergio was fired, he claimed it wasn't just a job he lost, it was a setup. Moments later, his rage, paranoia, and desperation collided in a parking lot surrounded by police. What started as a simple workplace dispute soon spiraled into a chilling standoff that no one saw coming. The conversation begins in a tense and cautious tone, with officers questioning a man named Sergio. They ask him what he is looking for, and he calmly responds that he is looking for a gun. The officers identify him by name, confirming, "You Sergio?" And when he says yes, they tell him to come over. As Sergio walks closer, they start to question him about what has been going on. He replies with confusion, asking what they mean. The officers continue to check if he has anything on him, and he assures them he doesn't. They ask whether he has made any threats, and he repeatedly denies it. He says no several times, emphasizing that he has not threatened anyone, not co-workers or the company. The tone at this stage is patient but cautious. The officers are trying to assess whether Sergio is a danger, while Sergio appears frustrated yet compliant. When asked if he had any issues at work, Sergio admits there is someone he has a problem with, but insists that he has made no threats. The man's name is Adam. Sergio explains that Adam had said things to him disturbing, racially charged remarks. Adam claimed to be a white supremacist, and even bragged about listening to white power radio and music. Sergio says he didn't respond, didn't provoke, didn't engage, but these words clearly affected him. He mentions that he took a screenshot of something and sent it to his boss later that day. The officers ask him when this happened, and he says it was Thursday, the previous week. The story grows tense as Sergio begins to suggest that someone in his company set him up. He explains he works for Ross Electric, a nearby electrical company. He was told to come to another location because of a power outage in a forklift, but now he suspects that the request was a trap. "So obviously they just set me up for something," he says, frustration beginning to show. The officers reassure him that they are just trying to get to the bottom of things. They tell him they are not accusing him, only investigating a report. They try to calm him down by saying they're not taking sides, they just need both versions of the story. Sergio nods, still defensive, but shows them the screenshots he mentioned earlier. The officers appreciate that, saying thank you for being honest still. They need to find out who else called and who made the report. Sergio asks if he can know who called the police, saying that should be public information. The officers tell him he can file an open records request, but warn that if it was an anonymous tip, he might not find out. This irritates him, but he remains cooperative. At one point, they ask about a forklift. Sergio confirms they're S1 in the shop, and insists his company gave the wrong address on purpose, claiming it was part of the setup. His growing paranoia shows as he mutters that something isn't right. The officers try to maintain control of the situation, asking neutral questions about the company. Sergio insists that Ross Electric is near this address, but says that Adam, the co-worker, told him to come here under false pretenses. He's convinced they did it to get him in trouble. The officers acknowledge him but avoid feeding into the conspiracy. Then Sergio's patience begins to break. He asks if he can go to the bathroom. The officers deny the request, telling him to hold it for now. He protests, saying he just drove from West Orange and urgently needs to go. They tell him again that he has to wait until the situation is resolved. Sergio becomes irritated, asking if he can at least go to his truck to relieve himself. Again, the officers say no, trying to keep him where they can see him. He complains that the situation is ridiculous, but they remain firm. He then asks if he can smoke a cigarette, but even that is refused. The officers tell him, just hang out for now. The frustration grows visible. Sergio starts feeling cornered. The officers, noticing his agitation, change the subject. They ask him how long he's worked for Ross Electric. He answers briefly, long enough. When asked if he does high-voltage work, he replies that all residential work is technically high voltage. The officers make small talk, but in the background, another officer is speaking to a supervisor from the company. This supervisor reveals new information. Sergio has been terminated. His key card was deactivated because he made threats to co-workers and to the business itself. The officers are told that there are statements from employees describing violent threats, though no video evidence. According to the supervisor, Sergio allegedly said he wanted to harm his boss and another co-worker. The officers now understand the seriousness of the call. Back at the scene, Sergio keeps insisting that he didn't threaten anyone. He admits he was frustrated, but only because of Adam's racist comments. He repeats that he never said anything about violence. The officers ask again if he has any medical or mental health history, depression, anxiety, anything like that. Sergio replies, no, saying that it's irrelevant. The officers calmly tell him that it is relevant to the nature of the call. He grows defensive again, saying the whole thing makes no sense and that people are lying about him. Sergio stands there, his voice trembling slightly, eyes darting between the officers. He keeps saying, they knew what they were doing, they knew I'd react this way. His frustration mixes with disbelief, as if the world has turned against him. The officers remain calm, maintaining distance and professional composure. One of them gently tells him, we just want to make sure nobody gets hurt, man. That's all. But Sergio shakes his head, muttering that he's already been hurt, not physically but emotionally and mentally. He feels betrayed. I gave those people years of my life, he says bitterly, and this is how they pay me back. The officers exchange a quiet glance. They've seen this pattern before, a worker pushed to the edge, convinced that everyone around him is plotting something. One officer slowly asks, "You mentioned Adam earlier. Did you ever say anything to him after what he said to you?" Said he hesitates, crossing his arms defensively. "I told him to stop. That's all. I didn't threaten him. I told him to keep his mouth shut before I file a complaint." The officer nods but probes further. "Did you ever say you'd hurt him or anyone else?" Sergio looks down at the ground. "No," he insists, his voice lower now. "But I was angry. Anyone would be." His words carry that tension, that sharp edge between anger and control. The officers sense that the conversation could turn volatile if not handled carefully. They reassure him again that they're not here to arrest him, only to talk. But Sergio's mind seems to spiral deeper. He mutters about being followed, about his phone being hacked, about co-workers spying on him. "I know they watch me," he says, looking past the officers as if someone else might be hiding nearby. "I saw them. They look at me like I'm a monster, but I never did anything to them." The officer near him keeps his hands visible and his tone calm. "Sergio, no one's watching you right now. Okay, we're just here, just talking." But Sergio shakes his head, pacing in small circles. "You don't get it. This isn't just about work. This is bigger. They want to make me look crazy so no one believes me." His voice cracks with emotion, and for the first time, the officers see tears forming in his eyes. One of them radios in quietly, signaling for backup to stay close but not approach yet, trying to redirect the conversation. Another officer asks, "Do you have any family around here? Anyone we can call?" Sergio's eyes flick toward him. "Why? Do you think I'm gonna do something? Do you think I'm crazy?" The officer immediately clarifies, "No, man. We just want to make sure you've got support. Someone to talk to." Sergio pauses. His jaw clenches. "No one," he finally says. "I don't talk to anyone anymore. People don't listen. They just assume." There's a long silence, the only sounds of a faint buzz of nearby electrical lines and the occasional car passing. The officers let him breathe, knowing that pressure could trigger an explosion. Sergio finally breaks the silence. "You really do?" he asks skeptically. The officer nods. "Yeah, I get that sometimes people get treated unfairly. But this," he gestures gently toward the situation, "this is just to make sure things don't get worse." But Sergio's frustration continues to rise. He points toward the industrial building in the distance. "You see that place? That's where they destroyed my life." His breathing becomes heavy. "You ever work hard for something, and then have it taken away by liars?" The officers stay still, listening carefully. One of them slowly says, "Sergio, it's not too late to move on from this. Whatever happened, we can figure it out." He laughs bitterly. "Move on? You think I can just move on? You think I can just forget being called a racial slur in front of everyone?" He takes a step back, his voice growing louder. "They called me names, they mocked me. And when I stood up for myself, I became the threat." His eyes flare with anger. The officers tense slightly, one of them subtly placing a hand near his holster, not drawing, just ready. Sergio notices. "See, even you think I'm dangerous." His voice cracks again, shifting from rage to despair. "I'm not dangerous, I just wanted respect." The officer with the radio says softly, "We don't think you're dangerous, Sergio. We're here because we care, that's all." Sergio laughs again, hollow, empty laughter. "Care? Nobody cares. Nobody ever does. Not the company, not the cops, not anyone." He wipes his face with both hands, pacing again. "I knew they'd do this to me. I knew it the moment I heard Adam talk that day. He said, 'People like you don't belong here.' You think I forgot that? No one stood up for me. No one said a damn thing." His voice grows distant. "I should have quit. Should have just walked out that day." The officers try to ground him. "It's not too late, man. You can still walk away now. Go home, take a breather. There are ways to file a complaint, real legal ways." But Sergio shakes his head violently. "No, they'll twist it again. They always twist it." His paranoia now consumes the entire conversation. He begins recounting every slight, every misunderstanding, every look that made him feel isolated. To him, they are all proof of a coordinated effort to destroy him. He says they made fun of his background, accused him of things he didn't do, even messed with his tools. One time, he says angrily, "I found my tools missing. Guess whose name was on the replacement request? Adam's. They're not slick. They're snakes." Sergio takes another slow step toward his truck, eyes locked on it as though it holds all the answers to his problems. The officers immediately take notice. One of them raises a hand calmly, saying, "Hey Sergio, stay with us, man. Don't go to the truck right now." Sergio stops but doesn't turn around. Why not? He asks, his tone defensive. The officer replies gently, we just want to keep everything safe for everyone, including you. Let's just keep talking right here. Sergio turns, frustration building in his face. You think there's something in there, don't you? You think I've got a gun or something? His words come sharp-edged with accusation. The officers keep their tone level. We don't think anything yet. One of them says, we just want to make sure things stay calm. That's it. Sergio laughs under his breath. Calm, he mutters. You call this calm? My life's ruined, my reputation's gone, and you're telling me to stay calm. He runs his hands over his face, pacing again, muttering to himself about being set up, about no one listening. One of the officers tries a different approach. Sergio, what do you want to happen today? He asks softly. The question hangs in the air for a moment. Sergio seems caught off guard. He looks down, thinking, then says quietly, I just want my job back. I just want them to admit what they did. His voice trembles slightly. I want them to say I wasn't crazy. The officers exchange a glance. They can hear the pain behind his words. This isn't about violence for him. It's about dignity, about being heard. I get that, one says carefully. It's hard when people make you out to be something you're not. Sergio nods, but his face hardens again. Yeah, but you can't fix that, can you? No one can. Once they call you unstable, you're done. The officer takes a slow breath. You're not done, man. This doesn't have to define you. But right now, how you handle this moment that matters. Sergio squints, unsure whether to trust the statement. You think I can fix this? The officer nods. Not all of it, maybe. But you can start by walking away today.com, alive, in control. That's a win. For a moment, it feels like the tension might fade. Sergio looks at the ground, breathing unevenly but slowly calming. Then his phone buzzes in his pocket. He takes it out, glances at the screen, and his entire body stiffens. The officers notice immediately. What's wrong? One asks. Sergio doesn't answer at first. He stares at the phone, then mutters, they're still messing with me. He shows the screen. It's an email notification, supposedly from the company. It says, termination confirmed. See, he says, holding it up with trembling hands. They waited until now to send it, while I'm standing here with you, to make me look guilty. The officers glance at each other. They can't verify the email, but they can see his paranoia deepening. It's probably automatic, Man One tries to explain. Companies send those when HR finalizes things. But Sergio shakes his head violently. No, this is personal. They know where I am. They're watching. The officer speaks calmly. Nobody's watching you, Sergio. It's just an automated message. Sergio lowers the phone slowly. But the damage is done. His composure is slipping. He whispers, they think they won. They think I'll just disappear. He starts walking toward the edge of the lot, near his truck again. Sergio, come back, one of the officers says firmly, taking a step forward. I'm not doing anything. Sergio snaps, I'm just getting my jacket. His tone is sharp now. His movements quick. The officer's voices grow more urgent but still steady. Sergio, listen, just stop right there. Don't go to the truck. He freezes again, glaring at them. You can't tell me what to do. I didn't break any law. The tension thickens. The air feels heavy with potential danger. The officers position themselves slightly apart to keep a clear line of sight. You're right, Man One says carefully. You haven't broken any law, and we want to keep it that way. That's why we're asking you to stay right here, okay? Sergio hesitates, then drops his shoulders. You think I'm dangerous because I'm angry, but anger doesn't make me violent, he mutters. It makes me human. The officer nods. You're right, anger's normal. Everyone gets angry. It's what you do next that matters. Sergio exhales hard. You keep saying that like it's easy. There's another pause. Then, almost softly, he says, you know what's crazy? I used to love that job. I used to show up early, stay late, do everything right. And now I'm the villain. His voice weakens. All because I wouldn't stay quiet when someone called me names. The officer responds gently. That's not right, man. Nobody deserves that. Sergio looks at him, eyes watering again. Then why does it keep happening? He asks, almost whispering. Why do good people keep getting crushed? The question lingers heavy, rhetorical. The officers have no answer. One of them simply says, life's unfair sometimes, but you've still got choices. Sergio scoffs quietly. Choices? Yeah. Like walk away while they laugh. Another officer steps in, his voice firm but compassionate. No, like proving them wrong by not becoming what they say you are. That's how you win, Sergio. For a moment, something flickers in Sergio's expression. Doubt, maybe a hint of understanding. He nods slightly, whispering, maybe, but then a sound cuts through the silence, the faint hum of a vehicle pulling up nearby. A white pickup truck slows down at the end of the street. Sergio's head snaps up instantly. That's them, he says, panic flashing in his eyes. That's Adam's truck. The officers glance toward it, but it's too far to make out who's inside. Sergio, relax, one says quickly. We don't know who that is yet, but Sergio's breathing quickens. I know that sound. That's his engine. He's here to watch me fall. The officer steps slightly closer, trying to keep his attention away from the truck. Hey, eyes on me, man. Don't look over there. Let's just focus on this conversation. But Sergio's fixation deepens. He mutters that he's not going to be humiliated again, not in front of them. I'm not their joke anymore, he says under his breath. Sergio stands still for a long moment, breathing unevenly, his gaze fixed on the ground. The officers remain calm, their hands visible, their voices steady but low. You're doing fine, man, one of them says softly. You're staying calm, and that's good. Sergio slowly looks up, his eyes glassy and tired. Calm, he repeats bitterly. You think this is calm? My head's spinning. I can't even tell what's real anymore. His voice cracks under the weight of exhaustion. They broke me, man. They really did. The officer closest to him nods sympathetically. I know it feels that way, he says. But you're still here. That means you've got something left: control. Choice. Sergio shakes his head, muttering that choice is an illusion. You think I can go home and just sleep after this? You think I can face people again? He asks, voice trembling. They'll all think I'm crazy. My name's already ruined. One officer replies, you can't control what they think, but you can control what happens next. Right now it's about keeping you safe. Sergio laughs quietly, the sound hollow. Safe? There's no such thing. Not for people like me. He looks away, his expression filled with deep weariness. The officers stay patient, giving him space but never lowering their guard. Minutes pass in silence before Sergio speaks again. You ever feel invisible? He asks softly. Like you work your whole life, do everything right, and nobody sees you until you make one mistake. One officer nods gently. Yeah, I've seen that happen. It feels like the world only notices when something goes wrong. Sergio sighs deeply. Exactly. That's what happened to me. Nobody cared when I showed up early, fixed things, helped everyone out. But one rumor, one lie, and I'm finished. The officers listen quietly. They don't interrupt, letting him release the pressure inside. I used to think being good mattered. Sergio continues. Follow the rules, work hard, tell the truth, and things will work out. But it's all fake. The rules only protect the people who already win. He wipes his face roughly with both hands. They said I was angry. Damn right I was angry, but I never hurt anyone. I just wanted respect. One of the officers steps a little closer, his tone still careful. Sergio, you deserve respect. Everyone does. But what you do now determines if people will listen to you later. Right now, we need to make sure nothing happens that can't be undone. Sergio studies him for a long time, his expression unreadable. You sound like you care, he says slowly. The officer nods. I do, man, I really do. I've seen too many people throw everything away because they couldn't let go of anger. You're stronger than that. For a brief second, Sergio's face softens. His breathing evens out. Maybe you're right, he whispers. Maybe I just need to walk away. The officer smiles slightly. That's all we're asking. Let's just end this day safely. Sergio looks around, as if searching for something. His eyes land again on the truck. My tools are still in there, he says quietly. They're all I have left. We'll make sure you can get them later, the officer says. Right now, let's just keep things calm. Sergio nods slowly, but his body tenses again. You're gonna take them from me, aren't you? You'll search my stuff, twist it around, say I had something. The paranoia flickers back into his tone. The officers stay steady. No one's touching your things, Sergio. But we can't go near the truck yet. Let's just focus on you. He rubs his temples again, muttering to himself, it never ends, it never ends. The officers exchange another look. One of them radios in quietly that the crisis team is 2 minutes away. Sergio notices the whisper and glares. Who are you talking to? The officer answers calmly. Just letting our team know you're okay. Sergio shakes his head, stepping back. I'm not okay. Don't lie to me. The tension rises again. The officer's posture stiffens, but their voices remain calm. No one's lying. Sergio, you're doing good. Just stay with us. His breathing grows faster. You say that, but I can see it in your faces. You're waiting for me to snap. That's what everyone wants, to prove they were right about me. His voice is louder now, echoing slightly in the open lot. Take a deep breath, the officer urges softly. Sergio hesitates, then exhales shakily. Every time I breathe, it feels like they're taking more from me. The words come out heavy, almost broken. My job, my pride, my future gone. What's left? Peace, the officer says gently. That's what's left. You can still have peace. Sergio looks at him, his eyes tired and red. Peace doesn't come for people like me, he murmurs. It comes for the ones who win. He lowers his head again, whispering, I didn't win. The officers stand still, letting the silence stretch. They can hear the approaching sound of the crisis unit vehicle turning into the lot. The soft hum of the engine grows louder. One of the officers radios a quiet update. We've got visual. Subject is calm but unstable. Proceed slow. Sergio hears the vehicle and tenses. What now? He asks, suspicion flooding back into his voice. Who's that? The officer answers quickly. Just more people here to help. That's all. Sergio's eyes dart toward the incoming vehicle. Help? No, that's not help, that's backup. His tone grows sharper. You said we were just talking. The officers step slightly closer, hands open, calm. We are just talking, Sergio. Nobody's here to hurt you. The crisis team parks a short distance away. Two trained negotiators step out slowly, wearing plain clothes. One raises a hand in greeting but doesn't move closer. Hey Sergio, he calls gently. My name's Chris. I'm just here to talk, okay? Nobody's forcing anything. Sergio looks between the original officers and the newcomers. So now there's more of you. Why? He demands. Chris replies softly, because sometimes it helps to have someone new to listen, that's all. Sergio studies him, suspicious but slightly curious. You don't look like a cop, he says. I'm not, Chris replies. I'm just here to make sure you're safe.